Good morning. Majo, John, Mad, and Juanito sitting in very quiet early Saturday morning downtown Asheville, North Carolina. In a pretty iconic spot for me. Behind me is the library, public library. Uh, in my 16 years in Asheville from 2004 to 2020, I hung out there a lot. And it's a good place to hang out today, as opposed to hanging with my homeless homies out further west of here. A lot of those facilities are not available to us on Saturday, and it's a good choice to not be with the homeless homies and to be with the regular straight people downtown, and in a place that's for education and furthering yourself, and where I won't just have access to charging for my phone and Wi-Fi. I'll have a computer, and there's things I can do in a computer that I can't otherwise. Down the street down there, about 2 blocks, is Malaprops. And Malaprops is one of the all-time great independent bookstores. And in my 16 years in Nashville, I heard some amazing writers come through and pump their books there. And then we go on and read their books and get a lot of inspiration out of them. Across the street over there is Battery Park Apartments, one of the grand old hotels of the South. The top floor, the penthouse, is just the way it's always been. Beautiful room. I always used to use it for my birthday parties. And it was part of my wanderings last night to stop by there. I'll talk about that. This building over here, not as beautiful, functional, is the Vanderbilt Apartments, which is part of the same chain of National Church Residences, HUD subsidized hotels and seniors. And it's my chief uh, ace in the hole for quickly getting into housing, as opposed to I've been homeless for 9 nights now and a total of like 20 or 25 here in Asheville. But I've been on their list for 2 months, and they're saying, you're right up there, you're soon. I'd like to be in there soon. And it's a protected building. You have to go through a couple of layers of security to get in, which is not bad these days. And last night, when I first got to town a couple months ago, I was finding the downtown so depressing that I didn't think I wanted to be downtown again. But at high season here at the end of August, last night on a Friday night, it was not at its peak, but it was pretty vibrant last night. And I did find myself hanging out last night with the promise of a little money in my pocket. My friend Tom was meeting up with me and had a lovely meal, and I'll tell about that. Yeah, yeah. So I have not, I'm back to feeling like it could be a good place downtown. Yeah, so I ate at Carmel's and had a beautiful, relatively inexpensive meal. Perfect summer night. And I was celebrating that my court case got resolved quite on a legal basis, quite perfectly, and almost perfectly in the morning. And I was celebrating that because that had been hanging as an albatross over my head for 5 years since I left here. So Tom, my buddy Tom, dropped off, and I said, Tom, 9 days homeless, I'm not any longer holding that one option for tonight is to go into Mission Hospital, even though I've been feeling so broken because usually I only sleep about an hour. He said, yeah, you're looking great. I didn't expect you would say that. But then after several hours of roaming, and as it got darker and colder, and I more and more experienced how broken my body is from all these days and nights of walking, I finally, so I did stop by there. Lori was one of the residents who used to walk her dog. She remembered me. We had a little chat. And then I ended up way east of here on Merriman Avenue. Walked past Green Life used to be Green Life, now branded Whole Foods, where I used to work. Walk north of there, where on the right side of Merriman is the Enmark gas station where I used to work. And on the side I was, there was what looked like an abandoned home. And when I got up close, there was a chiropractic office that was closed for the night with a big porch around it. And I did stumble in there and sleep for a couple hours on what turned out to be carpeting over the wood. So it was relatively comfortable to sleep on. I slept a couple hours and then it got cold. I got uncomfortable. Hung out there, I guess, probably a couple hours more. Went across the street to the Enmark and made a fun video, which is not posted yet, of my favorite way of ever leaving a job. You'll see that. And then discovered that although I don't have minutes on my Mexico phone, the emergency function does work. So when I pushed the emergency button, I got connected to 911, and I went to Mission Hospital, knowing that it was going to be a tough sell for them to keep me because I've been in and out so many times. I do have serious medical problems, but they're all chronic at this point. And so I knew they would say to me what they said last time. What's emergent? What emergency medical issue are we going to deal with? None. They're all chronic. But the doctor this morning turned me out very nicely because before he did that, he said, "Why are you homeless at 78? Tell me." Because he could tell I wasn't cracked and wasn't a user. So I told him, about 30 years lost to the psychiatric profession. And when he left, I cried. And he was very compassionate towards me. And what came out of that was two things. I realized, okay, what you're fighting for, even though you're back in the U.S. where you don't want to be, you want to be in Mexico. You're broken physically. Looks like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but you sure feel like a mess physically. And your spirit is half broken after being mighty, indomitable for 5 years. But you have a vision. You have 3 lawsuits. The brand new one is to sue the county jail for the abysmal treatment they gave you for a week and for their systemic mistreatment of the inmates. The second is to sue Mission Hospital for, back in 2020, their wrongful admission of you as treating you as a psych patient when you had a serious physical injury. And the third one, the most visionary one, is to sue the American Psychiatric Association for overdiagnosis and overprescription of drugs. That's going to take a visionary and courageous and powerful lawyer. So 2 things got clear to me about all this. Well, I'll focus on one. You've been pitching this law firm in Greensboro because they have a lot of success with city police departments suing them. But they're ignoring you. You made 3 pitches and they give you no response. The alternative, which you almost followed, was to start with media, because there's a wonderful media group that's got several local great writers, some of whom I know, some of whom have top national awards for their journalism. You thought about starting with media, take your story to the media. It's meant to go there. And you said, no, get the law firm on base and get them to coach you how to do this. This morning I went, no, take it to the media. Do it today in the library. Send your stuff off to that Asheville-based media group. See what happens with that. And then let the lawyers come to you. Yeah. Well, it's enough. That's a lot right there. If I do that, that's a lot. We'll figure out where I stay tonight later on. Okay. Bye-bye.